In a quiet seaside town called Elderbay, where the winds smelled of salt and lavender, there lived an old clockmaker named Elsric. His shop was nestled between a bakery that always smelled of cardamom and a florist who sang to her roses. From morning to dusk, you could hear the soft ticking of clocks and chimes as people passed his open windows. But Elsric didn't just fix clocks, he healed them. People said he could coax time back into a clock long since given up. He never hurried. He wore spectacles that always slid down his nose and spoke so softly you had to lean in to catch his words. Time, he once told a child, isn't just about minutes, it's about moments. And every broken clock holds one waiting to be remembered. He kept a special shelf in the back of his shop, one he called the quiet ones. These were clocks people had left behind, broken, forgotten, or never picked up. Some hadn't ticked in decades. Still, Elsric never threw them away. They're waiting for something, he would say, or someone. One day, during the slow hush of a rainy afternoon, a young woman entered the shop. Her name was Mira. She carried a pocket watch that didn't work, but more than that, she carried sadness, deep in her shoulders, in the way her eyes avoided the light. "My grandfather gave this to me," she said. "It stopped the day he died. I don't know why I kept it." Elsric nodded and took it gently. "Some things pause when hearts do," he said, "but that doesn't mean they're gone." He placed the watch on his workbench. Mira watched, unsure, as he turned the gears with fingers that seemed to know time by feel alone. He didn't speak again, only listened with his eyes closed as though the watch was whispering. And then it ticked. Not loudly, but enough to break something open inside her. Tears welled in Mira's eyes. "How did you do that?" Elsric smiled. It just needed someone to believe in its next moment. She returned the next day, and the next, not just for repairs, but to sit, to talk, to listen to the slow choir of ticking clocks. And Elsric, in his gentle way, taught her about patience, how every second carries a story, how even silence has rhythm. Over the months, more people began to come, not always with clocks, sometimes with heavy hearts, sometimes with nothing but silence. Elsric welcomed them all. He never rushed, never offered more than tea and a place to be still. Then one spring morning, the clocks in the shop stopped. Every one of them, all at once. Mira found Elsric in his chair, hands folded, a soft smile on his face. He had passed quietly, like a clock winding down, not from damage, but peace. On his workbench, he had left a small, handwritten note. Not every moment needs to be measured. Some are just meant to be kept. Mira kept the shop open. She didn't know everything about clockwork, but she had learned enough to keep the hearts of forgotten moments beating a little longer. And she added a new shelf in the back, next to the quiet ones. She called it the promise time. Clocks left ticking not for the sake of time, but for memory, for healing, for hope. And if you ever find yourself walking through a misty coastal town, you might stumble on a shop where time moves a little differently, not forward or backward, just inward, where sometimes the ticking of a clock sounds like forgiveness.